I'm going to demonstrate how to narrate and render to video using PowerPoint. Depending on what version of PowerPoint that you have will determine the process, of course. This is PowerPoint 2010. I'm not really sure how the other versions do this, but it would stand to reason that it is a similar process. This gives you another option for narrating and rendering your video, your PowerPoint to video. Some of you might find this a little bit easier than the screencast. Once your syllabus is on video, you can use it as an MPEG, an AVI file, or a Windows Media file, which is what my video will be rendered to. You can use it like that, or you can put it over to YouTube. One of the advantages of putting it on YouTube is that you can embed it in your site using the HTML code, or of course you can do it just using the YouTube address. I put together a few slides here just for purposes of demonstration. We're going to first talk about transitions. Now, you've already decided what transition you want to use. For this demonstration, I'm going to use the fade transition. We'll go over here to the duration of the transition. I like to have a duration of at least 2 seconds. The reason being is that if you don't have a couple of seconds duration, you go from one slide to the next. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to apply it to all. Now we're going to go over here to advance your slide. This is not the only way to narrate your slides, but for this demonstration, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to get rid of this. If I use this, then the slide would transition at whatever time period I told it to transition. But I want my slides to transition when I click the mouse. So let's make sure all of these are on the mouse click. Now we're going to go to slideshow, and we're going to go to record the slideshow. You have start recording from the beginning or start recording from current slide. You would use this one if, say for example, you don't want any narration or any sound on your first 3 slides. Maybe you're just going to put music in there and import a music file. So let's say you wanted to start your narration on the 3rd slide. You would click on the 3rd slide and click on start from the current slide. But we're going to do this starting from the beginning. We want it to record our slide and animation timings, and we do want it to record our narration. So let's start the recording. Up in the left-hand corner is a rectangular box. It says recording, and it has a timer on it. That lets you know that something's happening. What's happening is that it is recording your narration. As you can see, the first slide transitioned easily. One thing you want to be sure about is that you pause a couple of seconds before you transition the slide, and then once you get to the next slide, you pause in your narration for a couple of seconds. The reason that you do this is so that your narration doesn't get cut off, and maybe your voice is cut off, or what you're saying isn't appropriate to the slide that you're looking at. So just be sure to pause as you transition your slide. I think I told you in my introductory video that I like to take photographs and use them on my demonstrations. These are photographs from my vacation that I took last summer. Okay, we're done. So, you will notice on each one of the slides that there is a megaphone. that lets you know that there is narration that has taken place on each slide. If you don't like something, you can come over here. Let's say you don't like what happened on slides 3 through 6. You can come over here, you highlight the megaphone and press delete on your keyboard, and it will get rid of the sound, and you can start over or do whatever it is you want to do. Now, let's go and see how this actually sounds and looks. We're going to start from the beginning. Up in the left-hand corner is a rectangular box. It says recording, and it has a timer on it that lets you know that something's happening. What's happening is that it is recording your narration. As you can see, the first slide transitioned easily. One thing you want to be sure about is that you pause a couple of seconds before you transition the slide, and then once you get to the next slide, you pause in your narration for a couple of seconds. The reason that you do this is so that your narration doesn't get cut off, and maybe your voice is cut off, or what you're saying isn't appropriate to the slide that you're looking at. So just be sure to pause as you transition your slide. I think I told you in my introductory video that I like to take photographs and use them on my demonstrations. These are photographs from my vacation that I took last summer. Okay, we're done. Now we know that we have our narration properly recorded with each slide. So the next thing we're going to do is render it to video. So you come over here and you click on File. You go to Save and Send. Then you come down here where it says Create a Video. We're going to leave this on computer HD settings because we are going to render it over to our computer, not YouTube, which would be this. So we're going to put it over our computer. This gives you a couple options. If you don't want to use your timings or narrations, you could click on that and record them elsewhere, but we think we're okay, so we're going to use what we have. I'm going to put this to 0 because the amount of seconds on each slide has already been determined. So now we're going to click on Create Video. And we will need to name it something. WIC Demonstration Video. Oops. And we're going to put it on our desktop so I can find it. And we're going to save it. Now you will see down here that it is actually saving. It's saving to a Windows Media file. You can just watch this. It's going to go for quite some time. So I'll just take a time out here while that is rendering over to the video. Okay, we know that it's finished because the strip down here is gone. So that lets us know it's finished. So what we do is we go to our desktop, which just so happens to be right here, if I can pull it up. And there is our demo video. And we'll click on that. And there it is.